What do you make of what we've heard from yesterday?
Well, it's really the conclusion of a deal that, of course, came to the forefront last year when they proposed in America and Australia that we would have a deal over these nuclear submarines. What we shouldn't forget is there is a lot more technology and defense agreement behind this. And essentially what it's saying is, look, we've got a threat from the major autocracies of the world, Russia, China, and Iran, and North Korea sort of every now and then. And we've actually got to do something about it. These countries are aggressively pushing their diplomacy and their armed forces out into the world. They're threatening the international system and also our system of values as well. And if we don't do something soon, then they're going to overwhelm us.
And yet, there's a little bit of tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells in terms of some of the language. You might call that diplomacy. But it's certainly a climb down on where the Prime Minister and indeed Tom Tugendhat, who we were just hearing from, were previously, now just calling China a challenge, when quite clearly they're much more than that.
Isabel, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of very diplomatic language in the latest refresh of the integrated review. But the message is quite clear. Everybody sees China as an existential threat to our society and values. And I think if you look at the refresh of the integrated review, you'll see that every aspect of our society has to be geared against the threat, not just from Russia, which is the one that is closest to us, but also China and these other autocracies as well. In many ways, we're playing catch up. I think people like me have been warning for some 10, 15 years that the threat from China and Russia is coming. And I think the government's got it at last and has put in place the principles, I should stress the principles, behind how we're going to combat this threat. I think the practicalities have still got to be worked out.
That threat better not materialise in an exaggerated way over the next 15 years or so, Rear Admiral, because that's how long it's going to take to get these submarines operational. What about the machines that we're talking about, the boats that we're talking about? It's a bit like having easy payments, isn't it, across the board for a number of years and getting them. I can understand the economics of it, but are they actually up to the job, and will they continue to be up to the job? Nuclear powered, but not nuclear armed.
Well, we've got to understand what these boats are for. And you're quite right to call them boats, because submarines are boats. And they are basically floating chunks of sovereignty that are able to go around the world in essentially a stealth environment, because it's underwater. They're able to deploy weapons, but also a lot of sensors as well. So they'll be listening and trying to detect things. And if you look at the vast distances that are involved in the Indo-Pacific in particular, nuclear submarines are incredibly good at patrolling and also defending those areas. Now, as you said, they're not going to come in until 2040. They're designed to replace our current family of nuclear submarines, the Astute class. But be in no doubt, our 7 Astute class are world-leading nuclear submarines, well capable of taking on the challenge of Russia. They'll be complemented by the American nuclear submarines. They're the Hunter-Killer class. And while they're out there, they'll be defending our interests. In the meantime, we'll be bringing the Australians on board, developing infrastructure, training, and having mixed crews, so the Australians will be ready to take over with their own submarines when they come on stream in 2040. And what it is, it's a statement of intent. We're not just investing for what's happening now, we're investing for the future as well. We shouldn't forget, 2040 is not that far away.